Hast du etwa Zeit für mich? Dann singe ich ein Lied für dich von 99 Luftballons auf ihrem Weg zum Horizont. I've already sung it once this week, but I figure we will probably talk about the balloon. And John, I'm muting you because there's a little bit of an echo. Actually, John froze, so it doesn't matter. He'll be back.
Anyway, there he is.
There he is. John is back.
A little Max Headroom interruption.
He just kind of went, John. Well, let's see if I can unmute you now. It's not letting me. So he's locked again. So Jack, it's a Jack and Nicole show until John
there's
gets
John
back on. He is now here. John, say hi while you can.
Hello. Oh, we just switched. The Starlink's on the other side of the building, and I don't have the mesh thing in this side of the building.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So he's going to get his headphones on. John, I'm going to mute you.
Podcast studio.
Welcome to the live stream. We've got Jack on for just an hour. So, folks, remember, questions and talking points, these for the first letters in all caps, get them in. We'll talk about whatever you want to. We've got a couple subjects we can cover today as well. And also, none of us will ever solicit to you on the side to come give us secret stashes of Bitcoin in a secret Telegram channel or whatever. And there have been some spoof accounts like pretending to be us, although I haven't had it happen in about 3 weeks. So I don't know about you, Jack, but
there's been a lull in it. I don't know if just doing this worked or whatever, but I haven't had a lot of phishing attempts lately.
That's awesome. So, John, how's the compound? Are you surviving all the snow and ice that happened last week?
So we didn't have any snow or ice last week. Well, we had some ice. I guess we did. It's so such a non-issue in my life that I've actually forgot that we had ice. Yeah, it was cold. Water froze a couple days. Everything's good. Doesn't affect anything. We don't even add any, straw or insulation to any of the animals. They just kind of go where they want to go. So everything's good. It's almost 60 degrees out here right now. It's t-shirt weather again.
It's the perfect day to work on garden beds in Tennessee.
Yeah, it did ice here, but barely, which is the worst. When you get like 5 millimeters of ice coating the road and everything else, that's when people with four-wheel drives think they can drive, which they can. They can go like crazy. But four-wheel drive, I don't know if you know this, it doesn't do jack shit to help you stop or steer.
Oh, correct. Not great on ice. I know, because I grew up in Portland, Oregon, where we got like ice storm after ice storm, and then there would be like live footage of cars going backwards down hills while trying to go forwards up hills, and that was always good fun to watch. So
down near Arlington, we got a Darwin Award winner. I hate to speak ill of the dead, but it is what it is. Dude did a total freaking like a Dukes of Hazzard level off an overpass. Car flip over, land on hood or roof. Yeah. Whoops.
That's kind of fun.
Life has consequences.
It does.
I hate it for him and his family, but you can't do that.
Consequences get us all. They get us all. So I want to show you. Check this out. Somebody handmade this.
That is awesome.
Isn't that beautiful?
If we're showing mugs.
Yeah. Look at the TSP mug. John, where's your mug?
Yeah, where's your fire, man? Oh, he's got a plastic cup.
I got a sippy cup.
You got a sippy cup today?
The turtles. He's got a plastic straw in there. I saw it.
Yes.
He's going to run down to the beach all the way from Tennessee and throw it right down the nose of a sea turtle.
That's right. That's right. What I find is if I have a cup, I can dump this over, which I do frequently, and it doesn't pop off. And with the big straw, I just drink a lot more. If I don't have to pick it up and sip it, I drink probably 10 of these a day.
Wow. Is your segment on the CBDC opt-out recorded or live this morning? Live. He goes live in like an hour and a half?
Yeah, 11 to 2.
Well, let's tell people about the CBD opt-out challenge because maybe they don't know. What is that, Jack?
Let me grab my my affiliate link.
Your affiliate link.
Yeah, why would
yours or mine, whatever.
But John and I are going to be talking about John Bush and I are going to be talking today about how to take appropriate steps to deal with the coming CBDCs or central bank digital currencies, which are a thing, and they're coming faster than you might imagine. And I will actually be telling folks today for the first time live or in recording either how I think I'll actually get it done. And I think it's way easier to do in America than than people think.
I think you're going to see it like before July.
Yeah. So guys, this is a lot of people have reached me afraid of CBDCs. John's doing a free 5-day webinar. You can still sign up for it with Jack's affiliate link. But if you are hearing this on the audio podcast, I think it's CBDC opt-out challenge at the Live Free Academy site. And you can go back and see yesterday's session, which I heard was fantastic. John will try to upsell you. That's why we have affiliate links. That's why we love John. But it is, if you don't understand what a CBDC is or how it works, it's good to go there. And the whole idea is ways around it so you can set a foundation of knowledge from which to operate, because we're not stopping this. You can scream about it and hate it all you want, but we're not stopping it. So I feel like it's better to learn about the things than to ignore the things.
You're going to have to learn about it and deal with it. They're going to do a thing that people right now that are shrieking, "I'll never let it happen," are going to go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." I promise you, I'll reveal that today. But
how long from rollout of CBDC till no more cash, do you think? Or
it'll be years. It won't be fast. It'll be fast to implement, but slow to close. Like there's going to be a time lag because they're going to, I don't want to say it. They're going to sell it to the right and the left in two totally different ways. And they're going to fight about it. And they're both going to fight for it. Illuminati's trilogy all over again. Two groups fighting each other, serving the common demon master.
Sign up to find out more.
They will track everything you buy, but I mean, you're to the point right now where everything you buy is tracked anyways. Have you seen all the crazy stuff going on with Walmart where they said there's over 1 million prosecutions or had to go to court or, tickets or citations over forgetting to scan one item, and that Walmart on the million has generated 100 million in revenue. So I don't know if that's 100 per, or some of them obviously are higher, but it's a real thing. I looked up a ton of stuff. If you look up Walmart self-checkout and theft or shoplifting, thousands of videos on this. And you have a ton of lawyers telling people publicly, hey, I wouldn't use these self-checkout things. People are literally placing their orders, walking out the door, and then days later get a summons to court or a option to.
But you're not saying people doing it intentionally, that something they can or whatever, and then they're just basically running a reverse sting.
Yes, lawsuits have been paid out to the tune of $3.5 million and several for $1 million and more. Yes.
Wow. Well, it's funny. That's like the rental car thing that happened with Hertz, right? Where they were sending law enforcement out after people who legitimately had a right to have the car, arresting them for car theft.
Oh, I had not heard that.
Oh yeah, it's been a whole brand onslaught for the last 2 years.
Yeah, this seems to be a huge thing. It's been going on for 3 years, but it's really ramped up the last year.
Yeah. Okay, but I know everybody wants to talk about the balloon, so we're just going to bring the balloon up. I am saddened that the federal government shot down the best meme fodder that's been in my life for several months now, especially because it went right over the Self-Reliance Festival, location.
That was the real goal.
To
get
so it was like
John Willis and SOE.
What am I going to do today to promote the SRF? Oh, I know. No problem.
So anyway. I didn't even know it came over Tennessee. I was not in Tennessee when that happened, I don't think. But there's actually another balloon currently, and this is the third one in this immediate time frame in the last couple weeks, I guess.
So what's your hot takes, guys? Jack, go.
I think that this was one of the biggest failures of government, which is saying something in the history of government, that you don't let a foreign entity's freaking airborne surveillance equipment cross your entire country because it might fall on somebody if you shoot it down. And I think that if the Chinese wanted to know how to introduce biological, chemical, or nuclear agents into the United States, they just figured out how to do it perfectly.
And do we believe it's even from China? I mean, I
don't know. I don't know that. It's definitely possible that it's our own shit and we're playing around with it. Except I think that the Chinese wouldn't play ball with that. They would be like, no, you'll do it, right? It would have been they would, if it wasn't theirs, they would have said it wasn't theirs. That's the only reason I don't buy into that theory, but it's still possible.
So what are we not talking about while everybody's talking about that? There's several things right now.
Well, the Pfizer leaks, and there's the Pfizer sponsoring the devil worshiping in the middle of the Grammys. That's going on, right? Like, hey, look, we are for satanic worship and children turning into transvestites. Now, please inject yourself with our substance. Like, I mean, sponsored by Pfizer. Like, when I saw that, I thought somebody, when you saw the thing where it ends and then the thing comes on and the Grammys are sponsored by Pfizer, I thought somebody edited that together. I didn't even think that was real.
So I guess the Grammys or whatever it was 2 years ago had 128 million viewing. This year it only had 8 million viewing. Moderna and Pfizer are owned by the same company. The largest shareholder is BlackRock, owns both of those, as well as Amazon. They're all the same people.
BlackRock owns all the things.
They do.
Did you hear what Texas did with BlackRock?
No.
They expelled them from the state for pensions for anybody working for state or local government in the state of Texas.
Nice.
So all the pension funds had to liquidate any BlackRock holdings that they had, like BlackRock mutual funds, ETFs, and stuff like that, and had to pick up, through Fidelity or whatever. So it's not a huge win, but it's a huge win in a way.
It's starting, man. The momentum is building. Apparently there's 18 counties in Oregon that have all got on the list to leave, and they're all touching. They're to secede from Oregon. You're starting to see more and more of that. For people that don't know, the United States uses giant surveillance balloons, much like the one that you saw, super high level, and they are literally over every major city in the United States almost every day. And there's a program called Stingray, which has been around for over 20 years. So you can only imagine the levels that they're at now. But they capture every single piece of data that comes up there. They have the capability and have for decades, but they use these balloons everywhere in the United States. People don't even know that they're there.
There's, I can't think of the defense contractor. They market a whole surveillance system using these balloons, ostensibly to be used by like our military in theaters of operation over denied airspace, because, they're up at like 60,000 feet or whatever. So they're significantly difficult to bring down unless you have some fairly advanced capabilities. So if you were over, like, I don't know, Afghanistan 10 years ago, the Taliban wouldn't be bringing that down. So and if you watch and this is promotional footage from this company, it was on Instagram, so I couldn't save the video. It was like, holy crap. And like how they control them and how they can basically keep them in the same area of operations for months on end with almost no energy usage whatsoever.
Have you seen the robot dogs? I have a client that delivers truck driving stuff. I believe he was in California pulling a load in, and there's a little robot dog running around, comes around, looks at you. It's got cameras on board right now.
Yeah.
But it is the robot dog that can climb and do all the shit. But those are deployed. Those are physically being used in the United States currently. This one didn't look to be armed, but I mean, that's one step from that. It's
actually easy to do too.
Yeah. We were using, like I say, not me, but the government and people that we were working with were using robots. They were called disruptors because they would just drive up to a package and be able to blast it with a 50 cal cart to disarm munitions. They've had those things for 30 years. They just looked like little tanks back then. Now they're so far beyond that.
Do you remember back about 4 years ago, there was a big shooting in Dallas during a demonstration. Dude with an SKS took officers and several bystanders at a protest. And he ended up in a parking garage hiding behind a car. Well, they tried to negotiate with him, and then they sent a robot in with C4 on it, just drove the robot up to him, turned it off, and blew him up.
Yep, so I do remember.
Using robots to kill people, not new.
Yeah. Wait till they can do it on their own.
Yep. My hot take on the balloon is if you wasted your weekend worrying about the balloon, you wasted a weekend.
There's an interesting question. Yep. Why did we see the Chinese balloon and not our own? And my estimate on that is because the Chinese balloon, for one reason or another, was lower than it was supposed to be.
Lost control of it, yeah.
So it ended up not fully under control, because generally it would have been quite a bit higher than it was, even though it was very, very high. At the size it was, you could see it at that distance. Go up another 15, 20,000 feet, you're not seeing it.
Yeah,
they're just, they operate. They're generally at 20,000 or 65,000 plus feet.
They're up there and they can dwell. They can adjust themselves. If you think about like our drones right now, the drones we have, they lock at 400 unless you take the safety parameters off.
Yeah.
The FDA will go around and knock on your door over YouTube videos they've seen you put up on your channel for flying in areas. They will give you a hassle about flying over any roadways, over bodies of people, and actually drag your ass into court over it. But here these things sit all the time. And they, like, this thing just had an incursion across the United States where you could see it clearly. I mean, I didn't personally see it, but it looks like kind of where airlines fly. I don't know that for sure, but they'll be all up there
above the airlines, because they did say that because people were worried about flight safety.
They did ground.
Jack disappears.
I disappeared.
You're back.
Okay. It was up at like 45, 50,000 foot. And your ceiling for most of your commercial airline flights is down in the 30s. And a lot of them are cruising at 27, 28,000 feet. And that's your big jets. That's your 777s and what? Commercial aviation, unless there was a problem, which always could occur. My big thing is, and I agree with you, if you spent your whole weekend worried about this, you wasted your weekend. I made biochar and compost.
That looked fun.
But I do think from a purely military standpoint, looking at it, from a military view, not shooting it down over land so you could actually get your hands on the equipment before it was saturated in salt water, and now they're having difficulty because of rough seas, like horse shit. Like when they said it would be like a multi-100-mile debris field, it's a balloon. You put a hole in it, it comes down slowly. You're over eastern Montana. Have either of y'all ever been to eastern Montana?
Yes.
You know what's there? Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing. There's like 1 million people in Montana, and 90% of them live in 3 cities in their suburbs. It was the best place in the world to bring it down.
Do you think with current modeling technologies, we could predict the fall zone?
Yes.
And evacuate?
Yes.
Monk,
yeah,
there's
you're
a channel
talking about something the size of a school bus, not something the size of a house, right? It's not, and it wouldn't have come down like, right? You put a hole in it or two. You don't have to blow the shit out of it, and it would kind of. It still, when you saw it come down, it did not come screaming down. It was doing basically like a Mae West all the way down, a flutter, right? And so we could have definitely brought it down. But I actually think if you want to go nefarious, that maybe they know how bad it is and they didn't want to seize it and then have that go through our military apparatus, because it would be a significant enough provocation that a response would be required. That's my conspiracy theory as to why you shoot it over the ocean. Oh, we tried to find it. We can't find it. We're so angry. Oh, we're so mad, but we're not going to do anything.
Or maybe somebody was bought off and they let that happen, right? Maybe, I mean, does it look like our government is owned by our government?
Define our government.
Correct, exactly.
There was a second balloon, right?
There's currently a balloon right now. It's in the air over, I don't remember where, Central America somewhere.
Yeah, it went. I think it already passed, but yeah, there's a second one that went over Latin America somewhere. Yeah,
and you'll hear a bunch of the 3 of them flew over when Trump was in office and did nothing about it. But there's no where's the link where you can see any of that? There's a website called MonkeyWorks, talks about anything that happens air traffic and in the air. And he shows you live on the radar and everything where all this stuff is. And as somebody said in the comments here, he was saying it was actually at 20,000 feet certain times over the United States.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
That would be a danger to our aircraft.
Yeah, I didn't find that reporting, but possible.
Now, I would expect that someone that Delta or American employs to fly a freaking airplane to be able to steer around a freaking balloon. I'm just saying. But
a really big balloon that's on a fairly predictable path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, do those airline pilots fly? I mean, most of it's autopilot, right? But we do know that recently, airliners have gone up with 2 pilots and landed with 1 pilot. That's happened several times recently.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I need an explanation for that one.
Yeah.
You want me to? Well, do we want to say it here?
I don't know. Maybe not.
They became incapacitated.
On Jack's. Okay, go ahead.
I've known. Are you going to say they landed with the second pilot incapacitated?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
yes.
not okay.
Correct.
I got you. Yeah, that's solid. That's solid intel.
Multiple times.
Yeah, guy ends up DOA when the plane lands, or he's in cardiac arrest or whatever. I thought you meant like beamed out by aliens.
No.
I can't go there, John. I can't.
We have to be a little careful on Jack's channel because he's
yeah.
He's irritated with the Valkyrie here.
I'm striked up hard right now, man.
Yeah.
I got to make it till mid-March for my strikes to go away.
Yep. Mid-March. Then you can start saying what you want to say again.
Yeah, until I get some more strikes.
Yeah. How does JP Sears deal with that?
I don't know. I think like
He
once
gets
you
away with a lot.
size, like they fuck with you, and then like if you push back hard enough, and like there's serious lawsuit potential, maybe they just go, you know, we're not going to do this anymore.
Once you get to a level where him and Tim Pool and those guys are, you actually have a phone number to a guy. You have an account.
Yeah.
Representative.
Yeah. I know that same shit happens like on Instagram because my niece-in-law has that now.
Yeah. It's like PayPal. Once you run a certain amount per year through PayPal, you actually have a 24-hour number to a person.
Yeah.
Okay, can we go on to the retarded headline segment of this?
Yeah. Let's do it.
This is the most retarded headline I found. It was on the Daily Mail.
Oh,
Taking
shit.
vitamin C supplements could drag 100 million Americans and Brits back from the brink of diabetes, study suggests. Jack, is that a Fnord?
Yes, it is. If it stops with a comma and says something suggests or experts say or anything like that, it's always a Fnord. That's the Fnord formula. They don't even try to hide it anymore.
I rewrote the headline for them, and I said, not eating shit could drag 100 million Americans and Brits back from the brink of diabetes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm never going to make it that long because the eggs I eat are going to, kill me from the eggs. So
yeah, the cholesterol's got you. I mean, John Willis is on.
The choline. The choline's going to give him a stroke. You don't know that?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
New study out. Choline or something in the eggs are going to give us all stroke.
Causes blood clots, right?
Yeah. 4-foot blood clots.
4-foot blood clots.
I'm only 5'7", so that's a significantly long clot for my.
Yeah, I think
all the way from my feet up to here.
So I didn't read this article. I only read the headline because it was stupid, and my IQ went down a point when I read those.
It did. Went down 2 points.
But I'm going to surmise that I guess if I take vitamin D3, I'll eat less garbage. Is that the theory?
No, it says that it will lower your blood sugar swings. You know how else you can control blood sugar swings, guys?
Or not eating sugar.
Don't eat sugar. And you know it's also sugar? Good sugar. Honey is good sugar. Fruit is good sugar. Still spikes your blood sugar. You know what else spikes your blood sugar? Yes, you do. Alcohol, right? So, grains.
So maybe if we stopped eating Pepsi flavored Fritos, we could come back from the brink of diabetes. Why did I say that? You wait. By summer.
Pepsi flavored Fritos.
We knew when Frito-Lay announced Pepsi flavored Flamin' Hot Fritos. It's coming, bro.
We ran into a lady that ate Captain Crunch with orange soda. Like she wouldn't eat it with milk.
That sounds disgusting.
Yes, I was in Cracker Barrel when she ordered it.
Wow.
Okay.
Did you already do all these?
I'm doing this thing now.
Yeah.
Where I run polls every week on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that.
What John just said made me think of the one I'm running right now. And today's poll on Twitter on my account is: how close is today's society to the society in the movie Idiocracy? Not even close. So far, 4% of the vote. About 25%, 19% of the vote. Bon Jovi, halfway there, 50% of the vote. 100% Bring on the Brondo, 26.5% of people. And I don't know, but eating Captain Crunch with Orange Crush sounds like the scene where dude's got the bucket and he's taking a crap in his easy chair when the guy breaks through his wall at the beginning of Idiocracy to me. Like Mountain Dew Doritos were a thing. Oh, yeah. Wow. So it's true.
Yeah.
You see all the big channels right now during their lives on YouTube running polls because it spikes the algorithm so much. It gives engagement.
That's why I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm doing it. I gotta work the Elon algo somehow.
So the food stamps for soda story is interesting. I watched a video. They have these lobbyist companies that work for Coca-Cola, and they said 40% of Coca-Cola's revenue, and I don't know what years or if it's current, 40% came from EBT cardholders and food stamps. 40% of the revenue, they said. Now, Coca-Cola owns a bunch of other stuff. And another video I watched that same day said, hey, all those real healthy cigarettes, remember when they were putting asbestos and fiberglass in the filters? They knew that they were getting shut down. So where did they go? They bought Nabisco and Frito-Lay and all of those major packaged food companies. They're all owned by Philip Morris and the cigarette companies.
What a
shock.
You know, they also it's not well known, but they actually did get burned. Big tobacco got burned putting sugar into cigarettes in the 70s. A little bit of sugar in the tobacco, so when you're smoking it, you're not just smoking tobacco and nicotine, you're getting sugar, basically sugar tars, because it increased the addictive nature of the product.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. It's like,
I remember clove cigarettes because they left the sweetness on your lip back in the 80s. I'm glad I kicked that habit before it became a habit. And that was so the luckiest thing that ever happened to me, I think, was in high school. I started smoking one week, and the next week I started swim team, and you just cannot do both.
Okay, that'll do
swim team won, and I watch all my friends struggling to this day in their 50s with cigarette addictions, and I'm like, I didn't get that addiction because I joined swim team.
I'll bet someplace there's a swim team person that is smoking. You see the guy on the motorcycle smoking. You see that sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, what got me when I was in the military, you go through basic back then, it was 8 weeks, and you can't smoke. I mean, I'm not saying nobody maybe figured out how to get one here and there, but in general, you cannot smoke for 2 months.
Yeah.
Day you graduate and go to your AIT school, you can have cigarettes if you want them. And to watch dudes who went 2 months without a cigarette immediately run out and buy a pack of cigarettes, it's like, so your addiction was beat, right?
Yeah.
So that excuse is over. So now, and when I look at it now, like, if you hate money, take up smoking. And if you hate your health, take up smoking. I think cigarettes are more expensive than pot now.
They're really expensive now. It's like $80 for a carton or something.
Where's all the studies? Where's all the studies on the vape stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where's that at? Like it vaporizes, it puts the liquid, who knows what you're getting in that stuff. So much of that shit. And just, I mean, you see people vaping the little things, but you see them with the big battery packs.
And
the tweaker made thing. I mean, you don't see somebody that you're like, oh, that guy looks like he works out. You just don't think that when you see the dude walking around with the puffs of smoke.
The thing about the vape is you're killing yourself anyway, and you stink less. So please do that instead of smoke regular cigarettes, because at least I don't have to smell your stink. Because have you guys ever been like in a parking lot and you're like, who's stinking? And you look and the dude's like 100 yards away, but the wind is right. I mean, and then dude gets in his car and he's driving with like the window cracked. You're like, dude, do you really think that's going to help you? I know we're pissing off all the smokers right now, but I'm sorry, not sorry. My son, they bought my daughter-in-law's grandmother's refrigerator. She smoked so bad that they got the refrigerator, opened it up, closed it, put it outside, and had it hauled away for junk. Like when you opened it, your eyes physically burned. Like, because they told me how bad it was, and I'm like, it can't be that bad. Inside a refrigerator, like how much intake had to happen? And I opened it, and I immediately regretted it.
Not only that,
eyes burned. Like back in the 90s, I was working in cable TV. I went into a head end that was cooking down because the air conditioner went off, and like all the stuff was rot. The insulation was burning off the wires and shit. And when I opened that, like I gagged and like burned in my lungs. It was like that. And it was the inside of this woman's refrigerator. That tells you there's a problem, I think.
Or you walk in an old person's home, that smoked for years and years, and their walls are yellow. The refrigerator will be yellow. We were in Kentucky this weekend, and everywhere we went, there was somebody smoking weed or something that smelled like inside the store. I mean, all over the place. It was just everywhere. And maybe just because we don't notice, we don't really go out in big cities that much, but you don't see it in Nashville like that.
No, I was in Maine walking down the street and somebody was smoking pot, and my friend Brett turns to me, he just goes, yep, it's legal here. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why that doesn't. It's a new experience for me. It's not like just at the rock concert.
There was
over the crowd.
There was a nylon company 20 years ago that they've been bought. They're still there. But you would open up the box of gear. Jaeger was a dealer for them, and the whole building would smell like an ashtray. And you'd walk up and you're like, did they dump the ashtray? Is there some cigarette butts in here? And that shit just never came out of that gear. It always smelled like that.
Testimona made it past 3 weeks. I think she's on 4 weeks now, cigarette free, which is pretty cool, and nicotine free. She just, awesome. I think she went cold turkey.
Right on.
She was like, this time I'm doing it.
I think when I first realized how bad it really was back when I was in my early 20s and I used to go to bars and hang out and shit. And once you're choked up with it long enough, you stop noticing it. But then you get home, you throw your clothes on the floor or whatever. When you wake up in the morning, you don't smoke and you pick your clothes up. You're like, oh my God. And all I did was hang out in this place and have a couple beers for 2 hours. And it smelled like somebody soaked it in like cigarette tar. Like, these people are crazy. And we're not really going anywhere with this, are we?
No, we're not. We're just bitching. we went through a long...
Listen to 3 aging Gen Xers bitch about smoking.
Yes.
That's what they tuned in for.
And piss off everybody who smokes or make them feel bad because they want to quit. Guys, quit.
Or if you're going to smoke, at least make your own damn cigarettes out of pipe tobacco so you stop paying the government $10 a pack to ensure your own enslavement.
Yeah, also that. Okay, speaking of smoking, so what's the difference between that and current electronic money? Back to CBDCs.
So current electronic money is just electronic money. It's just how banks account for how much money you have or don't have. And certain things can be tracked. But what could not be tracked is, let's say that I bought something from John, and then John bought something from Nicole. And then Nicole went and spent her money at Walmart. And then a Walmart employee got paid with that dollar and went out and went to the liquor store. And that dollar, one fraction of that dollar went toward the purchase of a fifth of vodka.
Mm-hmm.
And then who had it before I had it? You can't do that in our current system. A CBDC will allow you to do that.
Yeah.
See, we're just like you can say this particular, like one Satoshi, which is 1/100 millionth of a single Bitcoin, can be tracked everywhere it's ever been if you know how to do it, but not necessarily linked to anybody by identification. Since this would be in an account-based system, you wouldn't just know where it was, how many times it moved, where it went. You would know who it went from to where. And you could also program it so that it will only be spendable at certain locations or for certain things. And you can also program into it a expiration date. You think, well, why would you want to do that? Well, if you came up with a UBI and we all of a sudden decided we need to give every American an $800 a month stipend so they can survive. But this is for you to survive. So I'm like, you know what? Screw that. Give me my $800 and I'll buy Bitcoin with it and I'll stack that. Well, no, it won't work on Bitcoin. Okay, well, I'll just save it in my bank account in case I need it for next month. Well, you got 60 days to save it or it'll disappear. Or they could decide John Willis is a bad guy. We don't like, he's always talking smack about the government. We'll just turn off his CBDC ability, including his ability to pay his employees through payroll services at his business. Do I have to keep going to explain how it's different than what we have now? Because unlike our current system where you would have to actually go through a court system, which may be a monkey court, but it still exists, and show cause, somebody in a central institution could just decide off, no. Or let's say the government decides, hey, there's a financial emergency. We need to tax everybody at 10% of wealth. You can just suck 10% of the wealth out. Without going through the problems of inflation and printing money. You could just take it out. Or you could just devalue it. Or you could rebase it. Or you could say, hey, guess what? You don't qualify for the cheap health insurance because we see that you shop at the liquor store. It is the ultimate surveillance of humankind. And John was actually hitting on how they're going to sell it to the right anyway.
Yeah.
When you were talking about food stamps for soda. Yep. So you guys can figure that out for yourself probably from there. How do you sell the right on CBDCs? You don't call them CBDCs. You say, hey, we're going to start paying welfare and things like that in a way that we can track the spending so that we can make sure it's not abused. There's too many people selling their EBD cards and getting drugs or whatever. So we'll just use this for just that.
Okay. Thoughts on young adults having a path to home ownership with high rent and housing costs?
You want to tell them, Nicole? Do you want to tell them that it's always been high rent and high housing costs?
Yeah.
That it's not new?
It's not new. It's really bad right now. And then what's going to happen is it's going to be less bad when the housing market corrects again.
Yeah. And
the best thing you can do is figure out how to build wealth and have enough savings to be able to buy a place.
It's so bad.
Or find an alternative way to do it. Buy land and live on a camper on the land and start building from that because raw land is cheaper. I got my first house. Let me tell you how I got my first house. I was involved in the rental industry with my father because he has rentals. And I knew how to do things like paint and that sort of thing. And a friend of mine had 5 rentals that he was having trouble keeping up with. So I helped him, learned a lot of things during that. And at the end of helping him for 2 years turn those profitable, I was kind of talking with him about the same problem. How do I get my first house? Because all my money's going to rent and it's hard to save every month. And he was like, well, let's look at what the actual prices are so we can start setting goals for savings and figure out what your financing capacity is and all of that. So I did. And I said, really, the house I would want if I could have any was this one house of yours that's a rental because I love it. Mm-hmm. Actually, the house I've loved most my whole life. And he said, well, shoot, you can just buy that from me. I'll sell it to you on contract. And then in about a year, refinance it, pay me off. And the appreciation will probably. Okay, so guys, you know what happened there? Social capital. That's social capital. I helped somebody enough that they found value in what I did and let me realize the appreciation of the house. So yes, save, figure out how to finance it, look for alternative ways, but also learn what you can do to be involved in other ways. And maybe somebody will help you at some point. Like the skip program that what's his name has, Paul
Wheaton has. I would also say, like, going a little John Willis, like if you're sitting on your ass at 6:30 at night, don't tell me you have this problem.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not the fuck out of bed at 4 a.m., don't tell me you have this problem. If you're not running DoorDash, Amazon deliveries, Uber, whatever it is you can do to earn every extra penny you can while you're young and you can work like that, don't tell me about your problem. When you are in your 20s, especially 20-somethings are the ones that say, oh, it's just not fair. Okay, this is just like 1995 when I was a 20-something. Interest rates are about where they are right now when I was a 20-something. And this is how you did it. Like what I did, I had one job. I didn't do a lot of other things, but I worked 18-hour days sometimes. If I could get the extra overtime, I got the extra overtime because it was important to me to have a home for my family that I was, at the point of creating with my stepson and my wife. So like, we will have a home. So I will do what's necessary. And every generation of young people thinks that their generation is the one with the big burden. Gen X, we thought we were. Our freaking parents, the boomers who get all the shit now, they thought they were the ones sent off to Vietnam and blown the fuck up, right? They came up they had it easy. No, they came up in the freaking 70s, guys. That was a shitty time to have to buy a house. Interest rates were 15, 18%. Your sob story doesn't move me. There's nothing new about what's going on. You just lived for the last 10 years in a world of make-believe with artificially low interest rates and easy money. And so what happened was a return to normal, and now you think it's extreme. I'm sorry to be a dick today, but there's.
Well, also, I mean, Scrambling has a point. All real estate is local. Somewhere it's cheaper.
That's true.
That is also true.
That's true. And when you're like, people say, oh, I want better school districts or whatever. Do you have any kids yet? No, then shut the fuck up.
Because,
right? Like, even though I could go off on a whole thing about how school sucks, but even if you do, and you don't even have a kid yet, you have a 5-6 year period before you're going to have one. You don't need to worry about schools right now. You need to worry about buying smart so you can increase equity and roll into something like that in the future if you decide it's what you're going to do. It reminds me of the people that are like, they have a baby. They got a 1-year-old. And they go out and buy an SUV so they can cart the kids around. They have one. He's 1-year-old. And you're going out and buying a $70,000 SUV for the kids to go to soccer games. You're full of shit.
I tell them that's some bullshit that you tell you, right? Because they always involve themselves in my conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy a place because I'm not going to pay property taxes. That's fine. No problem. You're going to pay somebody.
You're totally not paying it in your rent. Totally not paying it.
Yeah. I don't know about you, Nicole, but when I rent a property, I never fucking include my insurance and property taxes.
Never.
And all of that shit. I never put that into the rental formula. I totally pay that out of my benevolence and lose money every month on my property so that some snowflake can live in my house at a loss. That's exactly what all landlords do, right? I'm sure you did the same thing.
And if that's what you want to do, right? If that's you and that's truly what you believe, that's no problem. More power to you. But stop interjecting into other conversations, telling people why you can't, because all they see it as is your excuse. If that truly is, then stop using the excuse. Just do that, man.
Well, so here's a good one from DIY Honda. I know somebody in our network who worked hard, became an electrician, lived in one state, wanted to move closer to Tennessee, moved up here, got work as an electrician, saved a bunch of money, and within a year or two, I think, he bought a duplex that's that's run down. And he has spent like weekends under it fixing the foundation because he's developed construction skills.
Sure.
And that is how he's gotten his first property. He first talked about this dream at one of my workshops a few years ago, like, how do I do this? And then he did it because he chose that was his number one priority and everything else didn't matter. And he did that. That's why we probably won't be seeing him at SRF this time. He's been to a few of them, but he tends to put his time in building that up so that he can, eventually get a different place or maybe have additional rentals.
Is that our guy that did the work here?
Different electrician, also as good as that guy.
Boy, this guy's good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Think about the opportunity a young single person has right now. If they I want to own a home. Well, first of all, where do you want to own? You probably don't know for sure. Maybe you should travel around a bit. So what I would do, I met this girl back 5 years ago when Dorothy and I were in North Carolina. And when we go out at night, we take Ubers because everything's cheaper than a DUI. Everything, right? So if we're going to go out and have a few drinks, we take Uber. So we're taking Uber. I talked to this girl. She was going all across the country. She had Uber and Lyft. And she would use Airbnb to find cheap housing. And she would go to a place for 2 to 3 months, make contacts, meet people, and stack cash. And then go to the next. And she was basically saving half of the money. Anything she didn't need to live on, half was being saved, half was going against her student loan debts. And her plan was, well, when I get done with this little escapade of 2 years cross country, I'll have no student loans and I'll have 20, 30 different places I can pick where I want to go back that I have contacts and live in. And I thought, wow, that's hustling. But you talk about like this electrician guy, man, you could do that as a young guy right now. Find a place where you can get like day labor work framing so you can learn to fucking frame. Go there, do the same thing. And when you don't have work, freaking deliver packages, deliver food, drive drunk people around, whatever. So you have a guaranteed cash flow, plus you're learning a skill, plus you have another cash flow. Then you're going to write off all your fucking mileage so you make no money on paper, so you pay no fucking taxes. Right? And that you're developing these skills. And when you wear out learning how to frame, go learn to do fucking drywall. When you wearing that out, go learn to do basic pipe fitting. Well, you need to have a plumber's license, not in fucking Texas. So go your ass to Texas and get that skill set. And don't worry about how much you're making. Take a year and learn every of the basic components to building a fucking house. And go build your own fucking house and stop bitching.
We have people in these local Facebook groups every day like, hey, I'm off today. I will take you someplace. I will pick up for you. I'll run wood from Home Depot for you.
Yeah.
And they're not even giving a percentage. This is just cash business.
I would do that. There's all kinds of times I need shit. And I'm like, I don't have fucking time for this.
I don't want to go choose lumber.
I don't want to order a stack of 2x4s from fucking Home Depot because it's going to look like this. When I get it, but I will pay a guy with enough brains to go down there. I need 22x4x8s. Please don't pick me any shitty ones. Here's $50.
Yeah.
Done.
If you don't have what you want, you're one of two things. You don't want it or you're lazy. There's not really any in between. That's just how it is. Go get it or shut up and stop saying you want it.
Well, there is a third option. You're in the process of getting it.
Then that's not one of those.
But you're probably not talking about it at that point. Yeah.
To John's point, those people never bitch.
Right.
They're too busy working their ass off.
You don't
when they tell you anything, they're like, I'm 50% of the way there instead of, I don't know how I'm ever going to do it.
Somebody asked about buying fractional property. That's great, right? If you can do it. Now, what you need to keep in mind, when I bought this 10 acres of property, we were buying the 163 behind here. My attorney was coming into town Monday with the paperwork. We were doing a contract to own. Yeah. And the man we were buying from, he shot himself with a shotgun Saturday night before we signed the paperwork on Monday. So we are landlocked now, and that went to the family, and we were not able to buy that. So keep that in mind. If you buy 10 to start with, will you be happy with 10, or are you trapped with 10? Like, just know that.
That's interesting.
That's a crazy story, John.
That also, you need to look at like making sure that, like, I don't think you're landlocked in that they don't own the land between the road and your place.
Correct.
But there are places where you might end up. So you need in your contract a guaranteed easement if you're in that situation.
Yes.
And I've had several properties I've passed on because, well, there's an agreement with that guy. Well, can I read it? No, it's a verbal. No, well, fuck off. No, I'm sorry.
And what do you do if they decide they're putting condos here, right?
Yeah.
You're just fucked. Like, and when you buy your property and you cut down the trees on your property and you rely on the forest next to you, you better have a plan for when that forest is not there, because it will change everything you've done on your property.
Well, where I'm looking, I promise you, nobody's ever building condos.
Yes, I agree.
Same here. Valid, right? Because like a lot of it is timberland.
Yeah.
And so like this place is all planted with pines that's next door to you. Well, somewhere in the next 5 years, they're going to clear cut that shit.
Yep.
Some enterprising person who wants to rent lodging for Self-Reliance Festival could totally build condos looking right on the SOE compound, John.
We would burn them down. Like if somebody did that thinking, oh, that's a great idea, I promise you, I will be the worst neighbor you've ever had.
Yeah.
You want to talk about homestead smells? John can make homestead smells.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have a buddy that wanted to buy some property that wasn't even being used that a guy had listed, and he ended up putting pigs over there. And that guy ended up selling him the property. Like he had 20 pigs right up there on that corner, and he now owns that corner of that area over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. It's actually, again, when you start helping your neighbors, you're in a better position to not be condoed out, basically. And I would agree. I don't see big condo complexes coming to Camden, Tennessee anytime soon, although.
Would you
never know.
Would you imagine a 4-lane highway out front here?
No, but I bet they're going to do it.
They come through every year and survey for it.
Yeah.
They claim 100-foot off back. So if they cut that, we'll lose almost all the way up to that swale there. That whole cliff, that'll be gone.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Is there even all that much traffic on that thing?
No, there's none.
That's why they ain't done it yet. The revenue's not there to offset the cost.
Yeah.
Unless they get another big, bailout funding for roads or something.
But the neighbor, the guy that moved in 2 properties over, he got a certified letter from the state last week.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, my vet, just the road that we have here, Nicole, that comes up to our place out of town. Our vet lost their whole parking lot. And they're not even taking it for the road. Like they're expanding the road, and then they're taking the land that they don't need for the road.
For the easement, and during construction. The
so
shop
like
up the road.
In that project, they don't have to worry about ever doing it again. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah, they claim all the parking lot at the building up the road where we used to be.
Yeah. Funny how you guys talk about Camden, but consider how well known it is because of you. Yes.
Well, it's because of John.
It's because of John.
And TAC response.
And TAC response. Yep.
Yeah, and TAC response.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
That is totally true. Okay, Echo Sierra says, do you guys use an alpha strategy, buying things now to battle inflation?
So we did. I've never heard it called alpha. We bought a ton of stuff during COVID. I mean, a ton of stuff. We just bought a ton of stuff. I ordered 3 Mondays ago. I ordered more materials from the shop in one day than I've ever ordered in an entire year. Bought and paid for 3 weeks ago. The semi trucks are rolling in here. I've never bought like that before. And it is kind of high, but we're getting some deals on quantity, and we're starting another company to where we're actually selling raw goods to hobbyists, and we're starting to do some classes and stuff. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I guess, yes.
Sort of, kind of. I'm more of a capital reserves guy, and I wait till everybody freaks out and there's deflation in price, and then I buy shit. So that's kind of the same thing, just in a different viewpoint. So like, I bought my Challenger for $10,000 under dealer cost when COVID hit because Dodge went freaking crazy. And I actually didn't even believe it. It was like, come pick your color. Here's the price. And I'm like, no, that's always a lie. I'm like, we'll go check anyway. They're like, yeah, whatever one you want. I'm like, okay. And so like, I take more of that approach. Now, John's in a materials-based business. So is Nicole. I have no inventory in my business. So if I did, I would definitely, that's kind of the Southwest Airlines model. Like gas goes down, they lock up contracts for 12 months.
Yeah.
Right. So they lock up aviation gas contracts for 12 months. And that way they do they always win? No, but they never lose. That's the thing. That's how you make that strategy work. You don't buy something because it's going to go up. You buy something that is going to make you money at the price that it's at, and you lock it in there. And then if the market swings down, yeah, you could have got it for less, but you still have it in your revenue model to be profitable. If you buy it just to buy it because, oh, it's going to go up, that's how you lose your ass. That's catching a falling knife. You're going to bleed.
I like Tag from Life Done Free. He buys everything in large quantity,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So in the beginning of COVID, I bought a shipping container full of 2x4s, 2x6s, 8s, and 10s, just because we knew we were gonna do raised beds and stuff. But those are lumber that you are always going to use. And anytime I can buy enough to where they'll just scoop it and put it on the truck, and I can put it, I don't have any human labor in that stuff. And you're never going to be mad that you've got 2x4s sitting around. It's never going to happen.
Yeah. After my own heart, Scramblin says, I just loaded the most green coffee I ever held by the dips. I've been doing that periodically when I see that green beans go down. I will stretch to, like, I have stretched twice in the last 12 months to the edge of my cash flow just to do that, because like the coffee market also does this, like everything else. And it's something I can do to keep my business stable. So I think the perspective of doing that is a little different when you're running a business too, because you know how it fits into your profit structure. And I don't know about you, John, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on my most important material cost, and I see what the market's doing.
Well, every month for the last 18 months, probably, there's something we order every month that's just reoccurring. It's always been in inventory in the warehouses, and it's not. So we're like, okay, run a die lot. We'll take it. I have it now. They might have a little, but they're going to run out. And when our competitors need it, we're the ones with it. And they'll be like, who bought it? We'll sell it. We'll sell it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean from Hack My Homestead has been organizing pallets of solar panels in the Tennessee, Alabama area. He's going to be at Self-Reliance Festival with a booth with some of these off-grid things for sale. And he's doing exactly that. He's buying in bulk. Everybody wins because he makes a little bit of money in coordinating it, and he sells it, and it's less than you would be getting it if you were going to buy your 9 panels by yourself or whatever. So I think buying in bulk, if it makes sense, and if you have a way to distribute it, makes sense, or a way to use it. John can buy in bulk and distribute that stuff. That's something John's very good at.
Brent, that's exactly what Tag from Life Done Free. They've got a bunch of guys once a month. They go mob up on a property, build a structure. I think they split like 20 cords of wood in a day. They have a guy, all he does is keep the equipment running. He works on the saws. They use excavators to move the logs. While they're on the excavator, they saw cut them. They put them up on the processor. So you'll have 20 dudes show up and work for 10 hours and literally have months worth of work done.
John looks like John Hendricks is starting a TSP group in Southern Mississippi. So thanks for volunteering, John.
Yeah, you notice you said the taxes are high, but I think one thing people need to look at with geographic arbitrage is what's the cost of living total, right? Like, because you could come to Texas and say we have no income tax, and we don't, but we have high property taxes and high sales tax. So
10% sales
but
tax.
We also have a very low cost of living relative to the rest of the country. So it's not how much you pay in tax or how much you earn, it's how much you keep. And so you have to look at your total expense footprint and your total tax footprint against your revenue. And, all I know when I pay too much in taxes is I haven't found enough deductions yet. That's like, I just need to work harder at spending more of the revenue in a way that I can deduct it legally too. I'm not advocating anything nefarious here.
I would like to share a legal game I play every year. Starts in mid-December. So never do have a lot of coffee stores in December. And here's why. I have to fill out a form that as of January 1st, what do I have on hand? And I pay property tax on that.
Yeah, that's
like business property tax. So here's the trick. You get rid of everything. You put your order in on the last day of December, and it arrives after that form has to be filled out.
Yep.
And it's legal.
I have no inventory. Zero.
I had a little bit and all that, like whatever. I'm not going to lie, but yeah.
It's almost like they do that so that you have expended all your inventory. So if they decide to pull your business license, you're out of business now.
It is the dumbest.
It's pure greed.
It's one of the dumbest taxes. It's not the dumbest. The property tax is my probably all-time least favorite tax on anybody.
We pay property tax on the building down the road. They come in and they go, we look through the window and there's 10 sewing machines and there's these things and we pay property tax. And I told my lawyer, I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm not paying this. He goes, John, it's $1,300. Pay it.
Yeah.
You know what it costs for us to go to court. Just pay.
Yeah. I've been to those courts before, or not avoided court on that before. I had a girl sue me for like $800, but she did small claims, and I was running a company at the time. And my lawyer's like, I'll go up there and represent myself. He said, if you're a company in Texas and you're sued in small claims court, you can't self-represent. You have to have an attorney.
Oh, no.
So an hour of that dude's time was more than this girl wanted. So we ended up giving it to her. But she was also stupid. She had applied for a job, and that's what she filed a lawsuit over because she didn't like the way it went. And she was really stupid. She put my name down as a reference. And somebody called me and asked me if I know this person. I said, like, well, if you want to get sued, go ahead and hire her.
Yeah, K-Bonk, it's a business-specific tax. They give you a property or a materials tax.
Yes.
And it's a way to get money out of businesses. I don't know.
They're taxing the property you own, not your real property.
Yeah, so I basically get double property taxed because I run a business from where I live. So I pay the property tax, and then I pay the tax on the fact that I have a building I roast in and a roaster in there and things like that.
So that inventory tax, does that go to the state of Tennessee or does that go to federal government?
That's state of Tennessee. It's a state-specific thing. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't.
Yeah. Every time the think tank here is like, what do you want us to work on? I'm like, get rid of that stupid predatory business tax, and maybe some more businesses will start here.
So that's what I'm talking about, total tax footprint. So we do not have that form of a tax in the state of Texas. We do not have an inventory tax on property.
Yeah.
I did get a thing back when we used to do directional boring, though. We had 3 directional boring machines worth about $250,000 a piece, and they were on a lease. So we didn't own them. And the city of Fort Worth tried to tax that as business property at $250,000 each. So $750,000, it was like a $10,000 tax bill. I'm like, y'all need to call Vermeer because they own the machines. Bye.
Yeah, Cheryl's like, I had to fill that out today. Ugh. I'm like, the worst part about this tax is you have to fill out their stupid form.
Yeah.
John probably has somebody that does that for him. We have 3 people that do that, actually. Yeah, just make more money.
Yeah.
Just make more money, pay the guy. You have the separation.
Yeah.
And think about it. How long does it take you? How long are you going to dread over taxes, right? 30 days, maybe, like when you're gathering everything together. Pay the guy, use the 30 days, put the energy into the money. You should be able to make the money to pay the taxes in 30 days. If you're not, then you need to evaluate what it is you're doing. Now, with that said, everybody always hears me say that, right? Then you're lazy, right? I slept on a floor in a building with no heat or air for 30 days and ate MREs that I traded with Marines for 30 days before I even left the property. When I drove up to the first shop in Oceanside, I ran out of gas. I had to get guys to push the truck around back so that the city didn't tow it. And then I lived in the shop for another 6 months and slept on rubber foam mats, right? I didn't have a bed. So I understand, like, everybody wants to throw this. I've been homeless, right? I literally walked around in a pair of shoes with my big toe sticking out of them because the money was going into the electric bill instead. Like, I have no compassion because whatever they're going to tell me, I've already done 10 times over.
And that is not a story. That's a story I hear a lot from people who are successful.
They always
like, this is where I was and the crap I had to do to get there.
They want to tell you how, my divorce or whatever. I came home from prison and was literally in 30 minutes of being at the halfway house. I was served with divorce papers and a restraining order. To leave the halfway house, you could go leave to get a job. In that, the first 3 days, I had 3 jobs, working 80 hours a week. And then I started my company back out of my mom's garage maybe 2 weeks later. I did $900,000 that year with my company while on probation for 3 years and worked 80 hours a week delivering pizzas. And I kept 2 of those jobs for 6 months. At 6 months, I dropped the 3rd delivery. 80 hours plus my shit, federal probation, for 3 years. I left the state of California the day I was off probation. Don't tell me you can't do something.
Yep. Okay, Jack, I know we're getting close to
I gotta
turning
go
into a genie. Do you want to give a
yeah,
thought on
Dodo Bird, Yeah, Dodo Bird, I got to answer for. What do you think's really going on with the economy? I'm assuming the jobs data is shenanigans. It is and it isn't. So here's what's going on. You're hearing all these giant corporations laying off 5, 10, 15% of their workforce, and yet you don't see unemployment going up. Well, here's why. When you're a certain size and you lay off more than a certain number of employees, you have to give 90 days notice to those employees. You can't just lay them off. So all these layoff announcements are actually going to start hitting people in the unemployment line March, April, May. So there's literally hundreds of thousands of jobs that have been cut that are not contributing to unemployment yet. And I don't remember the exact metric, but it's something in the neighborhood of like 5% of your workforce and over, 5,000 employees or something like that. You're required to give that notice. And a lot of them also, because these are large tech companies, they have pretty decent severance. So that might carry a person like 30 days where they're still getting paid. So they're not drawing unemployment because they're still getting paid, things like that. Instead of a lot of the companies now, what they'll do is instead of cutting a severance check, they say it's your severance, but they keep issuing a payroll check for, let's say, once a week for 30 days. That keeps you off unemployment. It keeps you off their unemployment. And it makes it more likely you'll find another job and not impact their unemployment insurance. So this shit will hit the fan. It is hitting the fan. You're just not getting the blowback yet. But guys, I got to go. Enjoy talking to y'all today.
Yep.
Yeah, man. 7 million people is the plan.
Have a good one.
They plan to unemploy 7 million U.S. citizens. They came out and said that is the plan. And it's the weird thing is the number you keep saying is 11,000. FedEx fired 11,000 truck drivers. Amazon fired 11,000 employees. Facebook fired 11,000 employees. It's always 11, and I don't know what the magic number with 11,000 is, but I've seen it multiple times over and over the last 6 months. They told Amazon employees, hey, go start looking for a job because after Christmas, they told them in like November, October, you're not going to have employment after Christmas. You should start looking for employment.
Yeah, that's the trouble with having a job is people can fire you, right?
Yeah, and like Austin said, you only get unemployment for so long. And once you're off, the number fucking adjusts.
So I have been in scenarios where I qualified for unemployment twice in my life. The first time I got a job so fast I didn't get around to applying. The second time I actually tried to apply. And I was looking for a job too. That's when I transitioned to just making my own money. But I was also trying to make money because I need to cover the bills. And about the second week of trying to get the forms done and all of that done, I realized I just spent 2 hours applying for unemployment today. What would happen if I spent that 2 hours focused on building my business and I just ignored the rest of it? Because I was like, that was 2 very valuable hours for my business. And it was a hard one, but
we have people that'll just miss every Monday.
Yeah.
And then eventually fizzle out and not come to work. And then months later, they'll apply for unemployment. And the business owner actually fills out a form. And oftentimes we actually speak to a live human being and we're like, we didn't fire this person. They just stopped coming to work. We almost never pay, never pay unemployment on those people, ever. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, when I was running employees, I've been on a number of calls like that where it was just like, I mean, whatever, but this is what happened. Thoughts on developing consistent habits towards building a content business? Tori, do it. Tori, come on. Every Saturday is content day. That's all I got. What do you got, John?
Everybody with a business should have a content business. It should be like we stood for 3 hours and spoke to 3 business owners when we were in Louisville and just said, hey, you need to do boom, 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 boom. We're actually going to Louisville with our video guy to sit down, show them how to do podcasts. They already started making posts. We've tagged them in social media. And from that conversation, she said, hey, those buildings you want to go into, I can walk you in the front of those buildings with a key. Nice. You don't have to trespass or, whatever happens to get in those places. So, I mean, it's just building relationships. As far as the Realtree guy that's blocked, I have no idea why you're blocked. You said something dumb. When I block you, I will never unblock you because it literally would take me an hour of my life to find that. So if it's important enough for you to comment, make another account. Otherwise, most of the time, the dude's a turd and just wants to come back to be able to talk trash. I don't have a clue who you are, but I'm on every social media platform. So if you're blocked on more than one, it was on purpose.
Yeah. I don't even know who that guy is.
I don't either.
Yeah, the other thing I see Tori's saying is I'll do something and then be forever. Like, if you let the perfect be the enemy of the good in a content business, you will not be consistent. So it is actually better to get a less than perfect podcast or video out than no video.
That's what this lady said. She's like, I'm worried I'm not going to be good. I go, how are you ever going to be good?
You're never going to be good.
I'm like, then hire some kid. Well, we hired some kids, but they don't really align with our belief, right? I'm like, okay, then back to you. You're elected.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is so before I ended up here, one of the ways I made money was public speaking and facilitation, which means I'm pretty comfortable in front of people. My speaking skills, or my ability to speak publicly, has exponentially improved since I've had to do a podcast on a schedule all the time. So it's really polished that, and it continues to get better. And that's just because doing it, you get better, especially if you go back and listen and realize you say or so too much, which are my two things that I know I do. There's probably some other weird nervous tick I have, but
I need a handler. I make this I'm here standing here because at 9 o'clock I'm like, Nicole, do we have a podcast today? I usually don't know what day it is. Like I have no idea.
Yeah, I was a little behind this week. So usually I've told you Monday, tomorrow it's 9:30 instead of 12:30, but I was a little less proactive this week.
Yep.
So yeah.
People come up like, hey, I have to do this thing on Monday. I'm like, that's in 3 weeks. Remind me in 1 week and remind me the day before. And you probably should remind me that morning too.
Yeah, always remind him that morning. And even if you already sent him the link, send him the link again where he can get it. Because the other thing, I think what people don't realize when you're working with personalities is we all communicate differently. Like, if you want to be on my show, there's a guest form. If you don't fill it out, you won't be on my show. If you email me asking, can I be on your show? I'll probably respond with that link. But if you never fill it out, you're never getting on my show. And that's how I manage that cycle. Well, John has ways that he prefers to communicate, which are not via this device text message. So if somehow you magically manage to get his cell phone number, sending him a text is not the way to get his attention. Don't do it.
I don't check it. Yeah. Facebook Messenger. Like when you message me on Instagram, I usually don't see it till a day later or hours later.
And that's yeah, go ahead.
When you message me on Facebook though, Messenger, I use it all day long. It's just open on the computer. So if I don't catch it here, I see it here. Yeah.
And I don't know when I'm messaging you on Instagram on accident. That's a Facebook integration flaw.
Well, yeah, it's terrible now. You don't even know where it's. I'll see messages days later, and I'm on the damn thing. I mean, really, when people push me, like, "What do you do?" We make nylon tactical, but what do you do? Really, what I do is social media. That's literally most of what I do.
Okay. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Okay. It's always podcast 30. Yeah, the thing about a podcast at this point is when I have a really bad day, I get up and verbally vomit and make that into a podcast, and people love that.
I see it. When I open TikTok, I see you. When I open Instagram, I see you. When I open Facebook, I still see you.
Yeah.
Like you put out a shitload of content.
I do, and hopefully it works. I'm actually at my desk on this right now, first time in a while. Grumpy Ape is coming to Self-Reliance Festival, guys.
Awesome.
Do you remember what they sell?
I don't know what they sell, but I totally know who he is.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I'm probably going to get him up on the stage, but they make homemade food and then they freeze dry it and put it in packages.
Oh, cool.
And so people keep asking me, how do I get healthy food without buying a freeze dryer? You give Grumpy Acres your money and they sell, like beef roast and stuff like that. It's delicious. So I thought that was a really cool business idea. It's not just candy, it's other things. And if it costs some money to buy high quality stuff they grow their own stuff that they put in the food. So it's a super high quality product. But if I'm going to have a cache of freeze dried food, that's what I want.
And if you have the machine already, the candy loads only take a few hours. So you can amass a lot, not have that, but don't have that machine sitting there, right? So we're making hundreds of eggs a day. And I don't want to deal with the public. So we're running 120 eggs per load. That freeze dryer is running all the time. Yeah.
Hey, John Hendricks, share some of my TikTok stuff because I only have like 400 followers right now. If you have 25,000, help me get more. I'll help you get more on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Anyway, also hit me up so I know how to find you on YouTube. The funny thing about YouTube is I don't always find people with their usernames. I don't know why.
Because
It's a
for
me
some
problem.
reason, people don't use the same names across all the platforms.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the 12-year-old that made an email address asseater69, and now he's an adult and he's still using it. Like, make all your shit consistent and make it something that can be forward facing.
It's so funny when I get these emails that are like, you know, big and sexy kitten.
Yeah.
at hotmail.com. I'm like, you couldn't make a second account and just forward it to that one.
Especially when they take issue with something. Like, all I have to say is like, come on, dude, read your email address. How can anybody take you seriously?
Yeah. I never had one like that, but that's just because I'm apparently a really boring person. I give you my name. All right.
We'll cross brand some more stuff. You'll get some. It's great. It's great entertainment.
Old clothes equals vintage. Spontaneous podcast equals authentic. Exactly.
That's a good way to put it. Everything, all the places we were in Louisville, they don't even use antique anymore. Everything is vintage. So when you go to all these malls, it's vintage and funky. And they are packed. I mean, packed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a good point. So this is my problem. Too many identities. So the way we fix this, because I have the same problem, is I had to go through and figure out what is the brand, the primary brand out of the brands that I promote for myself, because there's more than one. And then I had to start looking at my social assets and decide what to do. For things I could change the name on, I did. For things I couldn't, that had a big following, I just embraced that's the shit I created for myself. And I am looking at building up some of the consistent ones, but they have 10 followers at this point. So
yeah, I have other Instagram pages, and your main page controls the other, and you just toggle back and forth between it. And it's very easy to control. But I have other Instagram pages that have absolutely nothing to do with what I do here or in most of my life even.
Yeah.
Truth is, my other pages would be irate over seeing what I say here, but it's revenue.
Yeah. Revenue is good.
Yes.
John likes revenue. Crushing it is my YouTube. Okay, you guys are sharing stuff. Any other questions from the peanut gallery? I have 7-starred, but I don't know if they are germane to what we're doing now. So one was on CBDC. Do you want to talk about CBDCs anymore, John?
Oh, I don't. I'll talk about whatever. I don't know shit about them. I'm not super concerned with it. It's going to happen. Just fucking be able to do commerce in another matter. The CBDC is like the smart meter. It's very convenient until it becomes a problem. If the smart meter is next to your head, it's giving people headaches and all kinds of health issues with the RF frequency. But they don't have to come here to the property to turn my electricity off. They literally do it from a computer or from an app on their iPad. Like, that's how shit is now. And that's what's going to happen with that bank right now. Right now, you can take some cash and you can meet Billy Bob in the parking lot and buy some moonshine or some weed or firearms, whatever, allowed versus able. It's actually legal to buy firearms from a dude in the parking lot at Walmart here. Mm-hmm. But when they can track that right now, if you're worried about, if you go to Walmart and you buy acetone, camping fuel, salt, lithium batteries, they will notify law enforcement. It actually, when you ring it up or when they ring it up, it sends a flag up on Walmart's inventory system. They notify the sheriff, and the sheriff comes and visits you because he wants to know about those items about making meth. Those are main ingredients in making methamphetamines. Mm-hmm. Now, that already happens whether you're using a card or not, but it will be that amplified. They will literally just be able to turn your shit off with a flip of a button. Right now, you can walk out of there with your ATM and you can go buy something someplace else, or you could buy it in a manner where they don't have an inventory control system. You go into Lowe's, Home Depot, Costco, Sam's Club, Walmart, there's a camera in your face. And at a certain level in Walmart, that camera actually turns on when it's over, I think, $20. When you go into Home Depot or Lowe's, every transaction, it shows your face, it shows the camera angle of your hands, and they have multiple other cameras. They can monitor that off of a theft control. They have like a system, like an iPad, and they can also monitor it from inside. Now, when we go to Sam's Club, we don't go to a register where there's a camera.
Yeah.
Chances are they know, but we scan and go. So when we put something in the cart, we scan, we hit pay. It's linked to the PayPal or card or whatever you want to use. We walk out the door, the chick checks the receipt. Now there's a bunch of things too. Like I'm not stopping for you to check my thing at Walmart. I see a lot of the people saying that. I typically don't. Like, you can chase me if you want to. I paid for this. Your problem, not mine. Now at Sam's Club and Costco, it's in your membership terms agreement. They can actually stop you.
Yeah.
So it's just how fast, how much you want to push that, right? We had a little girl walk up and she's like, we were buying bins and we're wrung out. She's like, can I check will you separate all this? I'm like, absolutely, we will not separate these. Like, out of everybody you could have chosen in here, all these nice savory characters, you're here. She's like, well, my management. I go, no, your management doesn't tell you. It's at your discretion. I've had this conversation many times.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk out in the fucking cold to my truck. And as I put these in the car, you're welcome to check them, but I'm not doing it. And I'm not waiting for you to do it. I've already paid for these. But more and more that is happening, and that they are hiring and employing people. And that is a big part of their job, is to just like lean on you. Yet you have people loading up shopping carts and literally walking out the door, and they don't do they've put it forth no effort to stop those people.
They would stop 100% of their consumer theft problem, not their employee theft problem, but their consumer theft problem, if they made it easy, convenient, and fun to order for pickup, and they just drop it in your car and it was easy. That would, I mean, they're not there, and I don't know that they're trying that hard, but that would do it, because you're not in there to take it off the shelves.
Here's your problem. You're back right now. Currently, you're back to the human element of that. Chef had multiple sclerosis. So we would pre-order things. Not a single time did we ever order pre-pickup from Walmart where we actually got everything we ordered. Right. To the point of, we're having some chicken dish and we would get back and the chicken wouldn't be there. We wouldn't even have the chicken. You'll order some kind of apple. They'll substitute it with some other kind of apple. Now, Walmart, if you take note, Walmart has been remodeling all these stores. And if you look, the aisles are wider. Yes. That is because have you seen the machine that goes around and cleans the floor? They have a machine that stocks, and they have a machine that pulls inventory. Amazon has 0 human present stores right now. You can see one in Nashville at the airport. And they're moving towards that. They're going to unemploy a ton of people, and that machine is going to do your shopping for you. Walmart's plan by middle of 2023 was to have 40% less customers attend the store. I don't know tracking timeline where they're at with that, but they are moving. If a lot of people might not be aware, Walmart is setting up fulfillment centers in every state, all cities across the United States, miles, like a half mile long, just like Amazon. You will place an order with Walmart and a driver will deliver your product from fulfillment. You will no longer go to the store, because when scarcity or ability to have options, and when you keep irate people out of the store, you don't have the problems that you have. But the goal is that the shopper will no longer attend the store. Like, look that up. If you haven't, if this isn't on your radar, check into it. It is very real.
Yeah. And I am their target audience, right? If I never had to go to a store again, unless I wanted to browse antique stores, I just want it here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fuss with it. I don't even buy that much in the food thing. So I'm not even anti that, except for, sometimes you do want to go look at stuff.
We were in some places this weekend, and I told Amanda, I go, this is what I picture collapse of society would look like. It's the bazaar, right? You've got these empty, vacant buildings. People have shown up and they just have their kiosks. When we walked in the front door of this place, there was a bar. You could order any booze you wanted, and they held the liquor license. And then they had a place selling coffee. And this is in it's an antique vintage mall. I mean, it's huge. We were in this place for probably 3 hours to see it all. And there's you could easily have a person in there selling vegetables or, whatever, if they just kind of kept their theme. But that's what I picture. When they unbank people, I picture it kind of like that.
Yeah. Well, and that is why, that's actually one of the motivators for me. I don't know about you, for Self-Reliance Festival, is the more we know people in our community who have skills, like the connection you're willing to make for me today, the better off we all are. And the only way we get that is in person.
Yes.
We can try as we must online, but it's until you see somebody, it's just different.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. If you don't have enough money, shake hands. You just have to meet people. You have to build relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Aurora says, I need to open a page to sell rings and things. Fees on Etsy are ridiculous. Any platform that's better than others?
Yes, we've already had this conversation. Yes, absolutely. Aurora Rings is an amazing craftsman.
Yeah.
Follow his Instagram page. He's building a very custom ring for Amanda right now,
Sweet.
or is about to. I use Shopify. I don't care which one you use. Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce. You don't have to know. Like I had a WordPress site. There was always problems. Every time I needed to do something, it would take me about an hour to figure it out. If you can use Facebook, you can use any of these other platforms. It's literally plug and play. The app on the phone is good. I can just take a picture. I can put it right into the website page for that item. You can cross-link. You go to my page and it shows you this cup, right? And I'm like, people that like this cup, you might also like these earbuds or whatever, you know. It's very, very easy to use. Very easy. And the customer support is good. And the analytics on the backside, I can go into the backside and look, and it'll say, these customers spent the most last month. These customers are most likely to be your biggest customers this month. So if you want to target certain things to them, these customers have not ordered in 6 months or a year or whatever. So we can send a promotion out to them, or we can look at their account and be like, hey, did we miss something? Why have they not ordered? Or a lot of times I'll just send an email out and go, hey, man, 125 orders. I was looking through some accounts. I noticed you haven't ordered in a year. I'm just saying hello. I hope everything's great in your life. Is there anything we can do for you? And a lot of times they'll just be like, hey man, I've just bought 100 acres. I've just been busy building a house. So you hear all that, and you can just have that dialogue back fresh in your head. Or maybe you just you become, you do business in some other manner completely unrelated to it.
I have thoughts too. So how much does it cost to acquire a new customer in advertising, in time, in all of that? And if your product is going to acquire a bunch of new customers on Etsy or another one of these platforms that have a community of people looking for things like what you would sell, then you have to just weigh the cost. Is it worth that investment of those fees to get the new customers? Do I have a way to convert them to buy from me a different way that maybe costs less over time? But I wouldn't necessarily ignore the networks like Etsy. I would definitely have my own direct store. I actually bought a ring the other day from Amazon because I could not find a super thin single band gold ring anywhere that was, I don't know why, but I did. I found it on Amazon, ordered it. It came with all of these, fill out our survey, and it connected me directly with their website where I am now going to buy it because I know that they get to keep more of what's in their pocket. But I tapped into that Amazon network for that purchase because I was looking for a specific thing. So that's the other thing I would look at, just along the way. I mean, I make WordPress hum, so I can do stores in WordPress pretty easily. But if that's something that's taking a lot of your time to figure out, absolutely use something like Shopify or something else that you can make work for you.
I believe you can do Shopify for free up to your first 99 items. And the fees are not, it's not crazy. It just looking, and I don't care whether you use Shopify or not. I don't get anything for it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The key is to use something. I know on the Self-Reliance Festival site, we've started having some people's cards are being declined by Stripe, who is our credit card processor, for no reason. And I think it's maybe they have purchased some things that Stripe does not approve of. So we're having to add another payment processor there, which is a pain in the rear. But
so on Shopify,
like that's going to happen.
Here's another thing about Shopify. I use Stripe, click the button. I use Square, click the button. I take PayPal, click the button. Yeah. It's literally apps on Shopify. You just add an app. If I want something that auto generates, hey, you were on our website. If you make your purchase in the next 5 minutes, we'll give you 10% off, or we'll do this free thing. There are literally hundreds of apps, like an app store in Shopify, and you just click the pieces you want and don't get the ones you don't want.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and they have all kinds of processing on there.
Yeah.
They even do their own processing.
Yeah, I'm going to add Bitcoin and PayPal this week to SRF just so that there are alternatives. I was trying to keep it simple for myself for financial tracking that business unit. But
then what you do is you just set up a PayPal account for SRF.
Oh, it's totally happening.
And then it is simple for yourself. Yeah. Everything's SRF. Yeah.
Well, it all goes into a financial tracking system anyway. So,
but then you don't have to. It'll put it in the tracking system. Everything will merge through one of these websites.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm not seeing a lot of other questions. John, anything you want to share before we sign off?
No, I do a live feed 9 o'clock. If you want to jump in, we can have whatever conversations. We make nylon tactical gear. A lot of people that interact on social media don't even realize what it is that we do. We put a different shirt out every week, 120 pieces. It's very rare that we rerun those. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm literally everywhere. So jump in if you are looking for us. We're easy to find.
All right. And I'm Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee. Self-Reliance Festival early bird ticket pricing expires February 22nd. So check it out, selfreliancefestival.com. We've got some great speakers coming. Tag from Life Done Free will be on our live stream on Thursday, which is at 7 p.m. That goes out on John's channel, goes out on my channel, and the Self-Reliance Festival channel on YouTube. You can come there, and Tag's going to share a story about what changed in his life after he went to the last Self-Reliance Festival in October. And I didn't even realize all of the things that were different for him after that. So I'm super excited to hear him tell that story. He'll share it with y'all. And that's over at livingfreeintennessee.com. If you want to find information about how to find all of that, selfreliancefestival.com for those Self-Reliance Festival tickets, guys. Thanks so much for joining today.